Hello, good morning, and welcome back to the Indescribable God and to another episode on Understanding the Great I Am. Today, I want to give a short testimony, and this is mainly for the benefit of those who are appearing for exams. When I was in 13th grade, I appeared for a paper called Economics. When I was preparing for this paper, I had only half a page, literally so much of notes, only half a page of notes for the entire year. I did not have a textbook, and in those days there was no much access to internet, and internet surfing and all was not as popular as it is today. Plus it was very expensive because you would have to go to the cyber cafe and pay for sitting for even 10 minutes, 15 minutes and all. So it was an expensive affair and I didn't have access to it. So I technically had only half a page of notes to study for my final exam. Whenever I appear for an exam, I always pray. So I prayed to the Lord and I said, Lord, I do not have any notes and I don't know what to study and how to prepare for this exam. But I'm leaving this examination in your hands. And then I just prayed and I left it and I just studied that half page of notes and I went for my examination. During the exam, I finished about 40 marks of the paper. The paper was totally 100 marks, but I finished only 40 marks of the paper. The passing out of 100 marks is 35. So I looked at my paper and I said, Lord, I have answered only 40 marks paper and I don't know anything else. Now, out of 100 marks, it was very difficult for me to even get 35 marks because I was a very poor student academically. Very, very poor student academically. So if I got 35 out of 100, it was a miracle. So I said that, out of 40, it is impossible for me to get 35, or even 20 would be a miracle for me. Anyway, so I tried to read the questions and I kept praying and I asked the Lord, Lord, what is the answer? What is the answer? Put some thought in my mind, give me some revelation. And I didn't get anything. I didn't get any answers. I didn't get any revelation. But I did have a thought that was constantly coming in my mind. And the thought was, give your paper and go. And initially, I didn't really realize that this thought was coming till suddenly, after about 4 to 5 minutes of running through my question paper, this thought kept coming, give your paper and go, give your paper and go, give your paper and go. And then finally I stopped. I said, Lord, are you telling me to give my paper and go? And then I was like, nah, it couldn't be you, Lord. I mean, that I can't get 35 out of 100. Out of 40, it's impossible for me to get 35. I was like, no, this must not be the Lord. But the thought persisted and it would not leave me. So finally I told the Lord, I said, Lord, if you truly are telling me this, if you are telling me to leave my paper and go, I said, then you make this teacher, at that moment the teacher was at her desk. I said, you make the teacher, basically the supervisor, the examination supervisor, make her come straight in down the aisle to my left and sit in the seat behind me, which was empty. So I told the Lord that, Lord, I'll give you 5 minutes and in 5 minutes she has to come. For the first 2.5 minutes, she was just sitting there roaming around and all. And I kept observing where exactly she is and all. After about 2.5 minutes, she walks down the neighboring aisle, okay, which was like a little, my aisle is here, the neighboring aisle is here. She walks down the neighboring aisle and she cuts in between the neighboring aisle and she comes down to my area, the aisle where I am, and then she sits behind me. So when she did that, I just stopped. I was confused. So I told Lord, I said, Lord, this is not what I asked for. I didn't say that she should cut from the aisle in between and come. I said she was supposed to come directly from her seat down the aisle and come and sit behind me. I said, so this I'm not going to consider as a confirmation. And I left it. I kept observing her for the next 2.5 minutes. Okay, so time kept becoming less and it came down to 2 minutes, then it came down to 1.5 minutes, then it came down to 30 seconds, then 20 seconds, then 15 seconds, then 10 seconds. Finally, it came to only 5 seconds. And then I thought, Lord, for 4 minutes and 55 seconds, if nothing happened, what will happen in 5 seconds? So I said, this is not you. So I looked down at my paper and I was going to start reading my question again and ask the Lord, what is the answer to this? When the thought came to my mind, look up. So I just lifted my eyes and I looked up. And this time when I looked up, the teacher was at her desk. She just got up, walked straight to me with great determination and sat behind me. And when she did that, I was so shocked and dumbfounded. And then the Lord said, "Look at your watch." And I looked at my watch. It was exactly 5 minutes completed. And I was like so dumbstruck. I felt like laughing. I found it humorous. I still find it humorous. And then I told the Lord, I couldn't say anything at that moment. I was like, okay, it is the Lord. And so I just picked up my answer sheet. I turned around, gave it to the examiner. I turned back, picked up all my stationery and everything that I had, and I ran out of the classroom. I took my bag and ran out, and I just burst out laughing and said, "Lord, that was really, really funny." Afterwards, when the examination got over, I finally got my results. And I wasn't in town at that time, so my elder sister collected my results. And over the phone, she told me that, I failed in one subject. I was like, yeah, I knew, I was expecting it. I said, I'm sure it is economics. And she's like, no, in economics you passed. I was like, what? I said, no, that's impossible. I answered only 40 marks of the paper. It's impossible that I will pass. She said, no, you passed. I said, how much did I get? She said, 35. I was like, what? I said, I got 35 in economics. I said, are you sure? No, you didn't check the paper exam. You didn't check the report properly. And she's like, no, I checked the report. She said, I got it in front of my hand. She said that it is 35 out of 100. I was like, that is a miracle. I said, wait a minute. If I passed in this subject, which one did I fail in? And she said, in psychology. And I was like, what? I like psychology. I knew so well. I had so many notes and all on psychology. I studied it so thoroughly. I knew every answer. I answered the whole 100-mark paper. I knew psychology so well. There was no way I could fail in psychology. And she's like, well, you failed in psychology. Then when college started, I asked the professor, so ma'am, why did I fail in psychology? Because all my answers were correct. And then she told me that the reason for it was because I did not use the psychological terms. And because of that, I lost marks. And I was like, oh my gosh. Otherwise, I would have cleared all my papers. But in this, what I wanted to share is that for economics, I really wholeheartedly depended on the Lord because I didn't have any choice. In psychology, I depended more on myself. I prayed for both the subjects. The Lord helped me to pass and all that stuff, helped me to perform well in the exam and all that stuff. I prayed for both subjects, but I never depended so much on the Lord for psychology like I depended for economics. And God was faithful. I cleared economics, 35 out of 40 marks, and that was only the Lord. Now, the reason I'm telling you this, and I'm sharing this testimony is because I want to encourage every person, that our God is a good God. And if you turn to Him and you trust in Him, He will never fail you. You see, the Lord said in Jeremiah 33 verse 3, call to me and I will tell you great and wonderful things of which you know nothing. In Philippians, He says, you can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens you. He said you can. And you can what? You can do all things. Yes, you can do all things. But through Him, Jesus Christ, who strengthens you. Many people understand this as, God coming and giving you strength. No. It is Jesus has already done half your work. All you got to do is stand and claim it. Whatever in life you are facing, Jesus has already done it. You need to just stand and claim it. And that is why Jesus says that you can do all things through me. With Jesus by your side, there is nothing you cannot conquer. Even if it is a subject, an examination. There are so many more things in life you will accomplish with Jesus by your side. There is a quote that I read on the internet that I would like to share with you all. It says, show God your faith and He will show you His faithfulness. God bless you and all the best for your exams.